immediately after Hurricane Irma, FEMA was notified because Hurricane Maria came on to Puerto Rico, and the damage was so extensive that FEMA, along with USACE, DLA, and the power contractor, Lewis Berger Industries, were deployed to Puerto Rico to provide temporary emergency power. And what that means is they mobilized almost 2,000 generators to the island of Puerto Rico to provide life support and life sustainment power for the area afflicted.
Okay, so the temporary power mission is necessary to maintain critical infrastructure for the communities. That's water treatment plants, lift stations, police stations, fire departments, hospitals, anything to maintain that critical infrastructure and the critical government to keep things moving.
The responsibilities lie in several different facets. We used all the FEMA generators. The DLA generators were sourced. U.S. Army Corps of Engineers went ahead and received all those generators, inspected them, transferred them over to the ACI contractor, Lewis Berger Industries, and what they're required to do is put them in service, and then once those facilities that are in need of that power are identified and correctly sized for the generator, we go ahead and ask Lewis Berger to go ahead and install that generator to support that power. And then what the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers does to maintain that is we're constantly evaluating to make sure that that generator is functioning correctly, providing the much needed power, whether it could be for a hospital, a well, a water purification station, a dam that has a floodwater pump system, anything like that. So we're maintaining vigilance to ensure that the people of Puerto Rico have the life support, life sustainment equipment available to them in this recovery effort.
Well, currently I'm responsible for the microgrids, and so we're actually powering communities right now with these microgrids. Some of the areas that are more remote and it takes longer to get these main lines to get the repairs done for the main lines, if we can go in and repair a cluster of lines, then we can power those communities earlier. So we're talking, 10 months after the storm right now, these communities, these people would not have power right now without these big generators that we have powering the microgrids. So essentially they're like substations powering smaller clusters of communities.
Some of the challenges that I have experienced is definitely the weather, the roads, and communicating with the locals. We overcame the language barrier. Back in November, we instituted a contract that Memphis signed to hire locals to translate for us when they would ride along with us, QA and generators, and they'd ride along, take our questions, translate, give them to the locals. They'd answer the questions and translate it back to us. That was one of our solutions. There was a couple sites that we couldn't reach with vehicles. We used the local Army and we airlifted generators into place and hooked them up to water pumps, water stations. There were some that we took from here, the main island, put them on a barge, and we put them on the island at Vieques and Culebra and set up little micro power stations until they get their power restored.
So one of the things I cannot stress enough is how FEMA and the Corps, they are working together to ensure the entire Caribbean is prepared for hurricane season 2018. FEMA and the Corps were tracking all of these generators so that we have a total of 630 generators ready to employ at a moment's notice anywhere within the Caribbean. Now, behind me, we have many different types of generators that were in the mission for Hurricane Maria. They're of all various sizes. We've got 20 kilowatts all the way down to 2 megawatts down at the far end. Each of these generators needs to be brought back to Pier 14, which is where our maintenance operation is. They need to be put through what's called a return to service process to where they are brought up to a fully mission capable status and returned to FEMA.
What I've seen the last 5 months, the Puerto Rican, the people of Puerto Rico are happy that we're here. They every time we come around, they're very excited to see us and glad that we've stayed long as we have to help.